2 caskets, 1 foster care system, and the moment I stopped being a victim. Remember that recording I mentioned? The one that resurrects the dead? Well, before I could use it, I had to survive the unthinkable. Not 1 funeral, but 2. Not 1 sibling lost to negligence, but 3, 1 to the grave, 1 to the system, and 1 to the woman who birthed us. But here's what happens when you take everything from someone who's been planning since age 13. They stop planning, and they start acting. But before I show you the exact moment I chose violence over virtue, you need to understand what winning looks like when the prize is a body count. Picture this: Mark and I, hollow-eyed teenagers carrying guilt that wasn't ours to own. The week after Alicia's funeral, after the casserole stopped coming and the neighbors stopped whispering, Child Protective Services knocked. Finally, the cavalry arriving 3 deaths too late. My father, in a rare display of actual parenting, launched a custody battle. He had evidence now. He had loss. He had a temporary victory that tasted like stale bread, nutritious but impossible to swallow. Mark and I packed bags. We dared to hope, but hope is luxury goods in dysfunctional families. My grandparents, the same ones who taught me love, who saved me from the gutters, looked at my father and saw a threat, not a savior. You belong with your mother, they insisted, voices trembling with that toxic loyalty that enables monsters. Families stay together, so they fought, not for us, for her, for the optics, for the lie that blood absolves sin. And my mother, she won us back. Mistake number 3. Because she didn't just win custody, she won a ticking clock she couldn't hear. Time skip. I'm 18. Graduation cap within reach. The world opening its mouth to swallow me whole, and for the first time, I'm ready to be devoured. Mark is 15, surviving, thriving, getting into the normal trouble boys get into. A fight at school, a broken finger, pins and screws. Pain medication with names I can't pronounce, but side effects I know by heart. Drowsiness, respiratory depression, death if unmonitored. My mother's job, simple. Watch him, regulate the meds, keep him breathing. She had 1 job. Grandfather picks me up from school, and I know before he speaks. I've seen that gloomy look before. It was the same face he wore when Alicia didn't come home. The driveway, red lights flashing, neighbors gathered like vultures waiting for the story to drop, and the stretcher. The body bag, 15 years old, overdose, not because he was an addict, not because he was reckless, because she was absent, because watching to her meant being in the same zip code, because she poured liquid death into a cup and walked away, and Mark, my Mark, the brother I learned to love, the only person who knew what those gutters felt like, stopped breathing while she was somewhere else. That was the final straw. That was the detonation. The family tree split down the middle like lightning struck oak. My father's side, rage, justice, I told you so, whispered through gritted teeth. My mother's side, my grandparents, still defending, still denying, still insisting, she did her best. And Sam, poor Sam. CPS finally did what they should have done years ago. Scooped him up, placed him in foster care, vanished him into a system that would change his name and his history. My half-brother, gone, erased. I'll never know if he's happy, or safe, or even alive. My mother, banned from raising children. A court order stamped in ink that should have been carved in stone years earlier. And me? I stood in the wreckage of my childhood, 2 siblings in the ground, 1 lost to bureaucracy, and realized something cold and clear and crystalline. She didn't just destroy my life. She destroyed the concept of mother itself. So I made a choice. No more waiting, no more documenting from the shadows. No more hoping karma would find her address. I was 18. I was legally untouchable. And I was angry, not the hot rage of a beaten child, but the cold fury of a man who, deep in planning since age 13, who had files and photos and timestamps and the legal knowledge of liability law burned into his brain from 1,000 hours of research while other kids played video games. This woman caused 2 deaths. She stole my siblings. She stole my childhood. And every time I looked at her, every time she dared make eye contact, I felt something ancient and terrible awaken. Revenge time. But here's what you don't know yet. I didn't go to the police. I didn't go to the press. I went somewhere worse. I went to the creditors. I went to the IRS. I went to the insurance investigators who'd been looking for her for 6 years. And what I had, it wasn't just grief. It was forensic accounting of a life built on fraud, negligence, and stolen Social Security numbers. But that was just the warm-up, the opening act, the appetizer before the main course. Because Part 4 isn't just the story of how I destroyed her financially, or legally, or socially. Subscribe and turn on notifications. Part 4 drops tomorrow. And that's when the first plan of the first revenge finally unfolds. And trust me, when you hear what I did with that recording, the one that resurrects the dead, you'll understand why some revenges take 13 years to cook, but only 13 seconds to serve.